All right guys, shots like that are gonna happen, especially when you're bowling on a typical house shot. And in this video, we're gonna teach you how to make the correct adjustments so you can stay lined up all night and throw a lot of strikes. Stay tuned.
All right, so we're gonna be talking about how to deal with the transition on a house shot. So Kyle, what basic information do you have about the house shot and how we can stay ahead of it?
Yeah, when we talk about a house shot, we're talking about these patterns that when you're bowling in league or you're going to bowl for fun, they have a lot of oil in the middle part of the lane and a lot of dry, not so much oil on the outside part of the lane. Now, if I was to walk you out on this house shot right here, we've been bowling on this for a little bit now, you would see lines on the lane. And these lines are where the bowling balls have tracked down the lane and actually taken oil off the lane. So when you're bowling a house shot and you're lined up at the start and you're throwing strikes and you're on cruise control and all of a sudden you're not striking, well, you're hitting this thing that's called transition. And that's because the lane pattern is changing. These balls, especially these modern balls, are actually taking oil off the lane, making the lane hook more. So when this happens, we got to learn how to adjust, and that's what we're going to teach you guys. So when you're adjusting on a house shot, typically we want to move left into more oil, find more oil that get our ball to go down the lane. Like I said earlier, if you're striking and you're lined up, it's because your ball is doing the right thing, you have oil. Well, when that oil evaporates, we need to move a little bit farther left into some more oil so your ball can get down the lane and get lined up and stay lined up. We know that some people are out there thinking like, hey, I don't have enough hand, I can't move left. So if that's the case, Brad, what do you do?
So there's a couple different things. I'm kind of in that boat too, where I don't have as much hand as my colleagues as well some days. And so I'm pretty familiar with having that feeling of, man, I just don't have the rev rate to get that hook that a lot of these guys have. And there's a couple things you can do. First, you can still try to move left. The main thing is you want to make sure your ball speed matches your rev rate. So if you are a lower rev rate guy, well then your ball speed needs to be a little bit lower. And if you feel you can't get that to work, well then there's another option. You can still try and play to the right, but the kicker is your ball speed generally has to be higher because your ball's hooking too much as it is. And so if you're not gonna move left into more oil, you're gonna have to find a way to pick your ball speed up. That way the transition of the ball off the dry isn't so far left and isn't as violent. The higher ball speed allows the ball to push down there at a greater rate. And also the bowling ball that you choose, oftentimes if we're trying to get less hook, we're gonna go to a weaker bowling ball, something lower in, less expensive in your pro shop, because those balls are designed to handle hook in a less violent way as compared to like the really high-end expensive hooking bowling balls. So there's a couple things you can do. I always try and challenge people for the rev rate challenged to still try and get in there because there's so many people playing there. The reason we move left, and we bowl on all different kinds of patterns, including house shots, and I'd say we move left literally every turn of it, but almost every move we make is left. Yeah, just because having that extra oil to where you don't have to force it down the lane is a much easier way to bowl rather than trying to feel like you have to force it down the lane because the dry is too violent. So those are, I always say, test yourself playing inside, slow your ball speed up, but if that's uncomfortable, stay where you are out to the right, but make sure your ball speed and the ball you are throwing are the correct ones.
Yeah, so now I went high, you saw you guys, I went high on this shot. I'm gonna make an adjustment now. When you start hearing these adjustments as in moving left, you'll start hearing numbers like 2 and 1, 4 and 2, 5 and 3. Well, what these numbers represent is the amount of boards that you're moving with your feet and the amount of boards you're moving with your eyes. And when we move left, there's different moves we can make. We can make a parallel move, which would be moving the same amount of boards with our feet and eyes. And that's if I want to keep my angles more in front of me. I mean, it makes sense. If I'm staying here and I want to move my feet 4 and 4, well, everything moves the same distance. If I want to say I make a move 5 and 3, when I say that, when we say 5 and 3, we're referring to I'm moving 5 with my feet, 3 with my eyes. So my feet are moving more are moving more than my eyes, thus opening up my angle. So when we start talking about moves, that's what we're referring to there. Now, on this particular shot, I went high, left the baby split. I'm gonna make a 4 and 2. So I'm gonna move 4 boards left with my feet, 2 boards left with my eyes, and it's kind of opening up my angle because I still want to get the ball to the right. And let's see if it was the right move.
Yeah, and sometimes during a duration of league, you start a little bit farther to the right, and then you end all the way next to the ball return. There's a wide range that you're moving with your feet. You're not going to move this much with your eyes. The break point's still going to be a pretty similar area. If you parallel all the way in, you're not going to be able to get the ball going out to the right past the head pin. So you're definitely going to move more with your feet than your eyes. Usually.
Absolutely. So we got a full rack. I'm going to make my 4 and 2 move like I said I was going to.
And make the spare, by the way, when you go.
Yeah, we're practicing shoot your spares. Here we go.
And you can actually just see, I don't know if it's hard to see from the camera, but you can just watch the ball float down the lane much easier. And when you see that ball reaction, when you see the oil taking it and you feel you don't have to force it down there, that gives you a level of comfort. I think that's why we move left so much, because it's easier to make good shots when you're comfortable. And if you feel like you got to force it down there, it's harder to make good shots. So that's one of the big reasons why that move works so well on all different types of patterns, is just because it allows the oil to take over the ball instead of you forcing it.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed those tips on how to stay lined up on your house shot and throw strikes all night long. And if you like videos like this, we have a free gift in the description. It's about versatility. It's a drill me and Brad do all the time. So click the link in the description. Check out the free gift. I promise you it'll improve your game, and we'll see you guys next time.